Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. My name's Chris. You are in the right place. This is the Pros and Cons channel. I thought I'd do an improvised live stream. And as I decided that, I realized that I don't really have an art pad. But I do. I just had to look. I want to have something to put underneath what I'm drawing. I'll have the chat open, although I didn't really announce this one early or anything, so there might not be a lot of people dropping in, which is completely fine. What I'm going to be doing is a little bit of sketching, mostly inking a bit of art. I'm trying to draw my idea of a page for Radiant Black's Marshall. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Nothing too fancy here. I haven't done any live streams where I'm drawing art lately, and I wanted an excuse to draw. And unless I sort of sit down and force myself to do it as a live stream, it seems like it doesn't get done these days because I've just got so much else to do with making the show and my part-time job and then family. So, yeah. I've laid out some bare bones stuff here, and we'll just see how it goes. But lovely to have some folks here. Hello, JSA. Hello. Cool. The Radiant Black podcast. That's kind of nice. You guys hopefully won't be bored with what I'm drawing. Hello, Sean and Steve, Iron Shell, Mandela, Jamil, Tobers, Arsnuff. Oh, salute. Tell you what, 2 salutes. Boop. Nice to have you folks. Yeah, Tober says watching live streams is pretty relaxing. That's probably the case here. You're not going to get super high energy, super silly Chris right now. Just sort of, I love drawing. It's definitely a more chill type of live stream. I just sort of slowly realized that I used to do these weekly, basically, when I would do the news, and that was super fun, but I obviously mostly looked down at my art and I wasn't really engaging with the audience quite as much, so just stop doing that as often. Let's see. No, I haven't seen the movie yet. My birthday's coming up, and I went ahead and put that on my wish list if any of my family was looking. So we'll see if they get me that. That would be fun. Love the Venture Brothers, though. Love it. Very, very funny, very creative. Then again, it definitely took a long, long time to get 7 seasons in a movie. That was Jesus, how long has it even been? I'm trying to think now of when Venture Brothers started, and I think it's been over 20 years. I'd have to double check. It was never the fastest show, but that's okay. Don't need the fastest, just need to be the smartest, right? Just giving myself a little bit of a grid to work with. Can always sort of touch this stuff up in Photoshop. That's an amazing tool that I never had when I was younger, but I'll just sort of go over what it is roughly. Let's see. Thoughts on the Mortal Kombat franchise? I used to love Mortal Kombat from sort of the first game through about the 3rd or 4th, and then I just sort of got too busy with life. I definitely in college played a lot of Mortal Kombat 3 at a couple bars. Not that I was ever that great, to be honest, but I liked it. I remember playing also the first one on, what was it? It might have even been as early as, or I should say almost as late for system-wise, as playing it on a Super Nintendo freshman year of college. But anyway, yeah, Mortal Kombat's fun. Basically, my idea is definitely not super heroic-y. I'm trying to task myself with doing a little bit more real people type stuff, like human interaction. So I've got somebody drawing Radiant Black. We'll realize that it's Marshall, who is Radiant Black, and he's at work. He'll be at work, and somebody's going to tell him like, "Hey, that's not bad. Maybe you should sell these." That gives him an idea. So he's going to try his hand at selling like prints. And the reason I haven't got any art over here really is I'm going to sort of stat this panel 1, 2, 3 and just slightly change his expression and have the clock ticking away. And as he's getting more and more frustrated that no one actually is buying them. So we'll see. No, I wasn't planning on doing a stream today, man. Been working on my latest Comic Tropes episode. Having fun with that, but just sort of decided to take a little bit of a break because I was just sort of I needed the mental health break essentially. Since this is a sketch, I'm going to be drawing it in a slightly different overall style in a way than like what I typically do. I hope that will come through and still be clear and everything. Also, I don't have my microphone quite as close to me as I usually do, but hopefully it's at least consistent audio. This is my second time ever using this new PC to do anything, aside from a little bit of behind-the-scenes work on Comic Tropes. Have I seen any of the Mortal Kombat animated movies? No, don't know anything about that. Topic is just sort of drawing. Yeah, I've considered talking about the Comics Code Authority as essentially its own episode. So far I haven't, but it's definitely come up a lot in other episodes. It's just too big not to, but yeah, I might do a dedicated one at some point. I've been just trying to think of like what kind of information have I not included in a previous episode that would make that useful or interesting in and of itself. So something I'm definitely considering. We'll see. How's everybody doing though this weekend? Obviously, a lot of people are probably either at or following San Diego Comic-Con news. That sounds fun. I'm clearly not there, just hanging out at home. I've gone to a lot of comic conventions. I've actually never gone to New York Comic-Con. I think I'd like New York. I've been to New York many times. I meant to say San Diego. I was thinking of two big conventions. Yeah, maybe I should go next year. I don't know. I don't know exactly what I would do or get out of it, but it would be interesting to at least experience at least once, How about you guys? What would you say is the biggest comic book convention that you have been to? Because there's a lot of them out there, obviously. And then there's like festivals like Angoulême in France that I would love to attend to. I would love to go to Comiket, which is a huge sort of fan convention for comics in Japan. There's a lot of ones that I'd love to go. Trying to save up for a Cannibal Corpse concert. Say that 5 times fast. Transformers toy reveal got my wallet hiding. Oh, I did see one Transformers toy. They had like a self-transforming Grimlock that they revealed. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't really collect Transformers anymore. I did when I was little. Sold them all now. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how much that is. That might be like $300. No, Chris, try $1,500. I was like, well, that's not happening. I do not need it for that kind of a price. Very impressive. Very impressive, but no, 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 no. I do not have ever that kind of fun money for something like that. That was wild. $1,500. I'm like, who's that for? Like, how many of those do they actually sell? Are we talking like in the hundreds? Or are we still like getting up into the thousands when it costs that much? I wonder. Yeah, I've seen a lot of cool stuff that we'll talk about on the news on Monday. Once the convention's over, a lot of cool comics announced. That's for darn sure. I've never gone to the San Diego one. I'd have to figure that out. Yeah. 2007? Trying to think. I might have been at the 2007 Wizard World Chicago one. I know I definitely was for 2004 and 2005. I think 2006. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I know that Donald Duck is really popular in Sweden, so that's really cool. My first convention was the inaugural Wizard World Dallas. Wizard World is kind of fun, but not always the most comic book heavy show. Having gone to several of them, they definitely have a lot of things like pro wrestling. And when I went in like the early 2000s, they also honestly had a lot of porn stars, which I always thought was kind of weird. And they'd be right there in Artist Alley. Let's see. Are you going to go see Barbie? Probably. I did see Oppenheimer. I prioritized that one, and I liked it. Wow, it is a somber film. It's not, a happy-go-lucky film. I don't know why anyone would expect it to be. It's tough. It's some really tough subject matter. But it is an interesting look at one man's life who, no question, he changed the world. No question about that. And of course, a lot of important people around him. My grandfather actually worked on the Manhattan Project, worked on the radar system. He was a nuclear physicist, but he didn't really like to talk about that, and I don't blame him. It's pretty depressing stuff. I can only imagine what it might have been like back in the day when that was actually happening, but I don't think it's anything America is like really rah about now. I think it's something like we're all pretty disappointed like exists, but there was just no way around it. Once technology exists, there's really no way to get it back in the bag. And we didn't want to be the last to develop it. Anyway. Yeah, I've seen both of those movies, and those are both comic book movies, and those are both some pretty serious movies as well. I think the biggest comic convention I've been to was Fandom Fest. Before that, it was Friday Night Film Festival, and neither fests exist anymore. But Fandom Fest is where I got to meet Brian Pulido. Brian Pulido, is that Evil Ernie? Am I remembering that right off the top of my head? Found my WWD program signed by George Perez. Wizard World, what, Detroit? Okay, yeah. Brian Pulido's Evil Ernie. Got it. Thought so, but it's been a long time since I thought about that. So that's cool though. Happy for you. Since this is actually Marshall's drawing, I'm having him really idealize Radiant Black, like drawing him like just like this beefcake here. Not that Radiant Black is not strong, but I'm sort of drawing him without like a full costume, drawing him with like this cowl. I was just because Marshall would like be the kind of guy that would probably idealize himself if he was going to be drawing. He's kind of a funny character. in some ways. And so I'm letting myself be a little bit loose, but also sketchy with this so that hopefully it doesn't just look like my typical artwork and will stand out at least a little bit as an illustration. I was just about to call these anatomy lines something unsavory, but I'll leave that to the imagination instead. Polito also created Lady Death, correct? Yes, 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 yes. What movie have you seen that you didn't know was based on a comic? Like I saw it and I didn't originally know that it was based on a comic. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of a nerd that's been into comics for a long time, so I don't think that I've ever seen something and then found out later that it was a comic. The only one I can think of that maybe is I think I knew before I went to see it, but not when I saw the trailer for Snowpiercer. I have definitely read that French comic book. The closest I would come to was say like 1995 Judge Dredd. I definitely knew that was a comic, and I'd read some of the like I think DC versions of Judge Dredd, but I don't think I'd read the original Judge Dredd comics around 1995 when the Sylvester Stallone one. So I mean, it's like I knew that it was a comic, but I hadn't really read those comics, if that makes sense. That's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. Evil Ernie is owned by Dynamite. They don't seem to know what to do with the guy. I have all the Evil Ernie comics there is. I haven't gotten to read the newer books yet. I hear he goes anti-hero. That's something I'm not an expert on. So that sounds right, but I guess I don't know either. So interesting. That really does interest me as a question. Like, you know, like, is there any movie that I didn't know was based on a comic book? But I don't think, you know, I was trying to think like, you know, like something that I saw before the internet, basically like Akira, but I definitely knew Akira was based on a manga too. So I just don't know. You know, I have to definitely think back. Oh, you didn't know Constantine was based on a comic? That must have been interesting then. I think you'd probably be able to enjoy that more without comparing it, because I do think that was a good movie, if not a completely loyal adaptation. It was good. I never saw Two Guns, but I am aware that that's based on a comic. Yeah. Extraction. Yep, knew about that one. Not trying to brag either, just trying to think of one that I didn't know. There was a few Netflix movies I didn't know were comics. Probably thinking of like Old Guard and Extraction off the top of my head. Did you like the Stallone Judge Dredd or the second Dredd? I loved the second one, just Dredd with Carl Urban. That was a really badass take on Judge Dredd that I really wish did even better, so that we could have gotten more by that same team. That's not going to happen, but that's okay. The original Judge Dredd movie, I liked it okay at the time, but eventually I sort of soured on it. It's more like something set in the world of Judge Dredd than feeling completely like a Judge Dredd story, if that makes sense. Even though I know it focuses on Judge Dredd, it has a lot of the concepts from it, but I wouldn't really call it too much of a Judge Dredd movie. Yeah, I think Oppenheimer is much better than Tenet. I'll be honest, I love Christopher Nolan movies. I think the first one I saw was Insomnia, which I thought was fantastic. Like I really liked his Dark Knight trilogy. I was all in. I loved what was that one? The one with the magicians. Oh, I can't remember the name of it right now. The Prestige. Um, his World War II movie that was told non-linearly. That was fascinating. Tenet, I didn't love. Tenet, I appreciated on a technical level, but I didn't really connect with those characters or that whole world. It was impressive on a technical level, but that one was my least favorite, I would say, of Christopher Nolan movies. I thought Oppenheimer was very interesting and very impressive. So yeah, I would give it a recommend. And hopefully, when I get a chance, I can go see Barbie, and that will be a lot lighter and more enjoyable on some level. We'll say. Bear with me. Yeah. Based on lawsuits in your video, I guess I could say the show Dark Angel. I guess if we believe that it was plagiarized, then sure, it was technically based on a comic. Yeah, it might have had a bigger budget. I don't think it needed that budget. I don't think it used it in the smartest way all the time. Oh yeah, Memento was fantastic. Memento was brilliant. Congrats to Carl Urban for not taking away his dread helmet. Yep, very, very well. He was very in character. Grouchy doesn't seem like the most honest, but he is ultimately in that world a good guy, but definitely what we'd classify as an anti-hero. Great to see you drawing again. Watching you got me back to my artwork. Oh, lovely. That's really exciting. That's really cool to hear. Let's see. These are great questions, though. Thank you. Helps me make my way through everything here. Any comic convention news that you all have come across that especially excited you? Because Marvel, DC, Boom, Mad Cave, Dynamite, they've all had tons of info already. And it's only Friday, but with preview night, Thursday and Friday, there's been a lot of news already. Stuff for Image that's really cool. I'm excited to talk about, like, this week's comic book news will be so heavily focused on actual comics, not just like stuff behind the scenes. It'll be really cool. I didn't come across the Spawn news yet. Any thoughts about the upcoming Blue Beetle? A lot of people say it's going to bomb. Well, we'll see. It'll all depend on the execution, really. But I think that a lot of people aren't necessarily invested if it's part of the old DCEU. I think that that's a real thing. But if it's well done, that makes up for all of it. Doesn't matter. I'm interested in it. I hope it's funny. I hope it's lighthearted and a bit more of like a Spider-Man type of a movie. Sometimes I need that sort of lighthearted adventure in my comics. But a lot of stuff is bombing in general. If Flash came out 3 years ago or something, I don't think it would have bombed. I think it would have done fine. It wouldn't have done like exceptional, but it would have done fine. Indiana Jones 5, if it came out 3 years ago, would have done fine. Uh, the fact is, not as many people go to the movies anymore post pandemic. They just don't. So there's a few that will become hits, but not as many as they used to. And therefore, it really is sort of the cream of the crop that rises to the top. Um, right now, I would say that Oppenheimer is very good, and I think that that should do fine. I think Barbie looks set to do very, very well, and I think that the latest Mission Impossible movie should do very well. And there's some franchises that like are doing okay. Most of the Marvel stuff outside of Ant-Man 3, and Ant-Man 3 wasn't a huge disaster or anything like that. I'm just talking money, by the way, not really quality. But the last Fast and Furious movie, I would say, is just as good or bad as any of them, and that one didn't do as well because not as many people go out to see movies anymore, and Hollywood needs to take that into account and spend a lot less on these budgets generally. You can't be making $300 million movies anymore. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. I saw that. Yep, new Punisher to talk about. That will be interesting. Oh, I'm extremely interested in the animated Ninja Turtles movie. I love Ninja Turtles, and I think that that looks like a fun, fresh, cool take on it. Obviously, they were probably inspired by the Spider-Verse movies, but that's okay because they're still doing a little bit their own thing, and they've got some incredible voice cast there. I can't wait. Yeah, I think that that should be a lot of fun. I'm super looking forward to the Ninja Turtles movie. I just love Ninja Turtles, though. So sometimes I'm like, okay, Indiana Jones, probably not going to do that well. Personally, even if it's not my favorite, I had a good time at it. I'm glad I got to see it. I don't care that much how Hollywood does. If they release this stuff and I enjoy it, cool. Yeah, Mission Impossible opened below expectations, but it's still probably going to, do okay, I think. I still go every week, but I know a lot of people don't go as often. Hollywood needs more original ideas. I wonder. I don't know if that's 100% true. I'd love for it to be true. I'd love for it to be true, but I don't know if that is true or if people really love recognizable brands that they've seen. I mean, I think you're probably right, Samuel. I do think you're probably right. But I think that there always needs to be this mix of stuff that people have heard of before too. Whether that's a sequel or an adaptation or a remake. It's just something people like. Wow. Thank you for the super chat. When I'm burned out, watching artists draw and chat while I chill is my happy thing. Love seeing you back on the art. That's so nice of you. That's so nice of you. Thank you so much for the support and the kind words. It means an awful lot to me. It really does. Oh, yeah, the creator, right? Isn't that by I'm bad at names. It's the director of Rogue One. Gareth. There's two Gareths. Gareth Edwards? I probably guessed the wrong Gareth. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I guess a lot of people probably did make their homes more comfy. I remember when we were in the early days of COVID, and everything had shut down for going out. And I wanted to sort of give my wife a date night, but you really couldn't go out anywhere. So what I did was I made a poster of like 5 different movies that were all available to buy on streaming, like sort of new releases on streaming. And I got her favorite like snacks and stuff. And I built a concession stand and like sort of made our back gate the entrance to a movie theater, like with that poster that I'm talking about, and then like coming inside with the concessions. And I sort of took her out the front door and let her around back so she could I had like actual tickets and stuff. I just sort of tried to make something since we couldn't go out, and I did all right on that one. That was fun. That was fun. And I think the movie she ended up choosing, if I'm remembering correctly, I think she chose Extraction, which we both liked. Yeah. Uh, Extraction was good. I like the sequel too. The sequel has some really impressive action in it. It's kind of funny that that's like a home release because I think it could do just fine if it had been released to theaters. Anyway, so I've been super busy doing the latest Comic Tropes episode. It's about a manga that I absolutely love. It's not really a new one, so hopefully people will have heard of it, if not seen it. But I don't think it's realistic that I'll finish it this weekend anymore. That's why I sort of decided to take a break and do this. I was just like, nope, there's still too much to do. I've had a few people reach out to me to see if I would be willing to hire them on as an editor, and I'm mulling over the idea. I need to make some big adjustments to my workflow if I was going to sort of bring anybody else into the loop on the creation. It could definitely save me some time in some areas, but I'd also have to create sort of a workflow, like a process where I'm getting stuff ready earlier so that somebody else could take over. So that's a little tricky to figure out. I'm also figuring out a new workflow. You know, I mentioned earlier that I'm doing this on like a new computer, right? I've got a new PC. In terms of like the editing and the rendering and stuff, it's going to speed a lot up. But this first episode that I'm making on this computer, you know, I have to move all the project files and stuff that I pull from onto this computer first. So that's actually the first time it's taking a little bit longer. I wonder what manga you could be talking about. I don't quite get that pun. It might not be the one that you're thinking of. I don't know. What Japanese anime or manga should be adapted to film or television? Maybe Berserk again, like as a long form TV show. Yeah, I think it still needs a really good animated version. There's a bunch. I'm not super plugged into anime necessarily. I tend to prefer the manga stuff. So sometimes I'm a little behind in terms of what's been adapted and made and stuff. Yeah. You want to see another version of Neon Genesis Evangelion? That could be cool. I wasn't making a pun. The tone was supposed to be sarcastic. Okay. Fair enough. That's very reasonable. Oh, I also did one other thing over the past couple of days. One of my good friends has a YouTube channel where he reviews G.I. Joe stuff, and I agreed to cosplay as a fairly obscure bad guy character, who's essentially like the Coast Guard for Cobra out of G.I. Joe. And so I did some, I recorded like a silly little sketch. It didn't take too much of my time to do it, but that's something that'll come out this weekend. So I've been very busy, and I've been teaching my nephew who lives with us how to drive. So I got to give that some free time. I'm very busy right now. Honestly, I'm very busy. I need a break, but I see that light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to take one day off for my birthday, which I don't always usually do. It's not necessarily a big deal, But we're gonna take off my birthday early in August and go to Washington State's Ren Fair. I think that could be fun. Then in September, I will be going to Japan for 2 weeks. And then in October, I will go to New York for a little more than a long weekend to go to New York Comic Con. So I do have things to look forward to for a break, but for quite a while, I've been very, very busy. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Archmage Frey. Good. Yes, I got the note that it took a while to process these sort of extras for a lot of parts of my Indiegogo campaign, including like the Infotron plush and stuff. But I'm really glad that you got one. I'm looking around. Yeah, I don't think I have mine down here anymore. Otherwise, I'd like show it to you all. But that's really cool. Didn't someone do Devilman live action in Japan? Did they? A lot of Go Nagai stuff has been adapted. I mean, there's been animated Devilman. There's definitely been animated and live action Cutie Honey. Was there a live action Devilman? If there was, it totally missed my radar. What will I be doing in Japan? Whatever I feel like. We've been, my wife and I together. Together, this will be our 4th time together. I've been to it before I met her, but we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff together. We're going to spend like about a week, a little over a week each in Tokyo and Kyoto, 2 of my favorite cities. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a blast. We're just going to be shopping, eating, going to shrines, doing whatever tickles our fancy. Yeah, it should be awesome. I did not go to any art school. No, I haven't really taken any formal art training. That's why I probably work so slow. I'm sure an instructor would have just been like, just finish it. And I never really got too fast about how I work. I obviously, if you're watching me, like this is pretty slow. Too slow for being anybody that could do like a monthly book. I could never do it. Yeah. Now what I have done is sometimes I will go to life drawing things. For instance, what do you call it? Molly Crabapple started it. It's in all sorts of cities. What am I thinking of? You basically you pay a small fee to go into like a bar, and there's a burlesque dancer who will also pose, and they have little fun contests. I forget all of a sudden the name of it. Somebody will tell me, but Dr. Sketchies. Thank you so much, MF. Dr. Sketchies are really fun. I recommend going to them if you don't have time for like a class or something. See if your local city offers Dr. Sketchies. Because that gives you access to a live model, and it'll be fun. You get to have like a couple drinks, maybe, if that's your thing. There's going to be contests with some prizes. I've even gone to them in Japan, actually. And that's really fun. Twice, now that I think of it. Dr. Sketchies, yes. Maybe we should double check, Chrissy, to see if there's one going on in either Kyoto or Tokyo when we're there. That could be fun. Yes. How to Draw the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and John Buscema. Very fun book. There's some good advice in it, too. There's some good advice in it. We have a local art alliance that has open model sessions every Thursday. That's a tremendous opportunity right there. I think that because it'll usually, like, you sort of warm up, like 30-second sketches. Let's just get the form. 1-minute sketches. Let's see if, you can like get it a little more accurate with a little more time, going all the way up to maybe a 20-minute sketch. See how much detail you can get in there and how creative you can be. I really admire it. But no, I've never gone to art school of any kind. I think in retrospect, I might have enjoyed that actually in retrospect. Yeah, but um, but it's not something I did. I might have enjoyed that though. Sometimes I didn't know what to do in Japan until I got ideas while sitting on the local train. Well, that sounds nice. I'll admit, Daniel, I'm not super into the idea of taking the rickshaw rides. I know you're super into, but there's just so much to do there. I mean, it's a city, there's so much to do. There's great restaurants. There's always going to be like lots of history and culture that you can appreciate. You could go learn something. I've learned how to make soba noodles or something. It's really cool. No, I definitely don't feel any impulse to return to being a vigilante. That time in my life has come and gone. Um, it was interesting. Yeah, it was interesting, but I don't consider it like my proudest moment or anything. I think I helped some people. I know I did that, but it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Um, I miss like an excuse to stay in better shape, and I do like sparring and stuff like that. So sometimes I miss that, but I could just take a new martial art if I felt like a real urge or impulse, I think. Oh my god, I've considered it a little bit covering it, but it's like it's offensively bad. It's not really. I don't consider it that funny. Marvel was a really bad comic. I find a lot of its jokes literally offensive instead of funny. If something is just bad, but you think that somebody's trying to do good and they're putting it out earnestly, it can be a little funny to look at, and you can learn something from it. But when somebody's just sort of actively trying to be edgy with their jokes, like have Iron Man be racist, I didn't find it that funny or good. So yeah, I don't know because I don't know if I could be funny on it. Basically, I don't, and if I'm not funny on it, it's just depressing. Really bad comic, really bad. Where did I put my pencil? Oh, there it is. Just sort of blocking some stuff out here. Want to make sure I get it right. Yeah, you can Google it. You're not going to have a lot of fun reading it. That's for sure. I was young, but I swear in like mid 2000s, Japan went crazy on live action adaptation of manga or anime. I don't know. It feels like they've never slowed down. Is Frank Miller's Ronin good? Yeah, I think it's quite good. Uh, I'm not talking about the current Ronin 2 sequel. The original Ronin I'm surprised you say nobody talks about the story much in a good light, because it clearly influenced a lot of other books and cartoons and things like that. It's a decent story, and the art is definitely towards the high end of what Frank Miller has done. I think he continued to improve a little bit as after that, but he was on an upward trend. I find it very interesting. Yeah. I've met Seed a few live casts. I was part of the May 27 building collapse in Davenport, Iowa. How's your shoulder and how's the other health situation going? I don't quite understand the Seed live casts, and I don't know what happened in Iowa, I'm afraid. Sorry, Bruce. My shoulder hurts, but the flexibility has gotten better. I can raise it up pretty high. Let's see. You can't quite see that, but this is the good arm, and it can like easily get up there. This one can't quite get straight, and that hurt a lot. I can move my elbow here very easily. Here I can only get about that high versus like pulling it up like this. So like this only goes up it's still very stiff. Hurts a bit, but whatever. The other thing, we ruled out cancer with a bunch of unpleasant tests, but I'm past it, so that's good. Yes, it's a compact fluorescent idea bulb. Yes, I'm being silly with this. Just trying to have fun. Excuse me. But I figured with it being the San Diego Comic-Con that maybe Daniel Warren Johnson was too busy to do his weekly live stream where he draws, and that therefore I wouldn't necessarily look too bad by comparison. I really love his work. By the way, in case you didn't see it on my weekly live stream where I recap comics and news, I picked up this. It's the Do a Powerbomb collection, hardcover. This is available only in France, so you'd have to find like a French bookstore that sells it. But the reason I got it and went to that trouble is it's all printed in black and white, so you get to sort of focus on his artwork a little bit more. I really admire Daniel Warren Johnson, and I think that this is a great addition. So, shop around. Maybe you can find a website that you can translate or read, but it's a really good addition. Since I mentioned him. No, Phoenix never really had to go to prison. He went to jail for like one night. I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't talked to him in a few years. If I saw him on the street, I'd probably be able to be friendly with him, I think. But his life was always sort of chaotic and disorganized. He was very interesting, but I just got to a point where I was like, this is just not going to go in a good direction long term. So I think I'm done. And some of the people that he hung out with were really troubled and clearly just wanted some attention and fame, or an excuse to beat somebody up, which I didn't love being around. So, yeah. So I walked away from it all at a certain point, and I'm glad I did. But it was interesting. Maybe interesting enough to make a small comic book one day. But I don't think I'd want to draw it. What are you drawing, Chris? I just dropped in a couple minutes ago. Just sort of... it's Marshall, one of the leads from the comic book Radiant Black, and I was just sort of having fun coming up with like a comic strip idea of him at work. I really like talking with writer Kyle Higgins, and I thought I'd just do this and have fun and shoot it to him and hopefully amuse him and use it as practice to just keep drawing and maybe get better. So just for fun, really. Oh, I know what I can do now. Hold on. I think I made something kind of funny. I was talking about how I made something this week where I collaborated with my friend Hooded Cobra Commander 788. I'm going to log into something and show you a video. Hold on, I'm just trying to remember the password. Ah, good. Hold on one moment. Yeah. I just need to be careful with the music because if you look at this on Twitter, I had some music, but I made a small video to promote this collaboration I did with a fellow YouTuber. Give me 1 second. All right, you can see this, right? I think you can see it. No current plans for Radiant Black to get an animated series that I know of, but I think it could make for an excellent one. Let's see. So I'm going to mute the sound and just imagine the Baywatch theme playing, okay? Because that's what I added to this. I'll just sort of like loosely thing. I'll be there. I'll be there. So this fellow is me running in slow-mo on the beach for an annual event called Cobra Convergence. And in there, I'm dressed up as a somewhat obscure Cobra villain called the Secto Viper. His job was to patrol Cobra Island beaches. So I filmed some sketches with Hooded Cobra Commander 788 for that. That should come out this weekend. But I have the Baywatch song playing if you go to look at this on Twitter. And I filmed it in slow-mo. But what I think is funny watching this back is I'm not like running my absolute fastest because this beach is at a lake. And therefore, this is not really soft sand. This is actually just like rocks. So I'm running along rocks. And I was just like, ow, ow. But I wanted to do this. I thought it was a funny idea. So anyway. Just thought I'd share something kind of silly that I did. No, it's called Secto Viper. Secto. Secto Viper. Yeah, why aren't I wearing a sexy bikini? Because I'm wearing like a sort of a cosplay costume of him. I used to listen to that theme song for fun. Yeah, so hopefully you got something out of that. But yeah, his channel's Hooded Cobra Commander 788 or just HCC 788, and I recommend it. I think he's a pretty interesting guy. Let me grab... Oh no! I guess when I set up my new computer, I misplaced my kneaded eraser. Darn it. I was hoping to take away a bunch of the pencil and just bring out the actual artwork, the line art. Oh well, maybe another time. How long have I been doing this? Not that long. About an hour. Not quite, right? Yeah, thanks for typing it out. The Secto Viper is who I'm playing. If I had Chrissy dressed up as the Baroness. Yep. She's a good sport. She'd probably do it if I asked. Even if she didn't want to. She's a good sport. But I would not force her to put on that costume. But if she wants to. Anybody have fun weekend plans? Me, I'm just going to be working. I always work every weekend. I can bring you a much needed eraser. Stand by. Oh, I'm pretty lucky. I didn't know she was still watching. That's nice. Baroness the band. I don't know Baroness the band. I'm talking about Baroness the evil cobra. That middle panel reminds me of Stray Bullets. Oh my god, Stray Bullets is incredible. Yes, Destro and the Baroness practicing their clarinets. Have you? What have you played, Queen Glamazona? Have you played a character named Queen Glamazona? I don't know how to pronounce it necessarily. Queen Glamazona. I've never done cosplay. I mean, I've worn like some light costumes for like Halloween. One time, Chrissy made me a costume of the Fifth Doctor from Doctor Who. I think I wore it in a Comic Tropes episode. Now that I think of it. Lara Croft. That's so cool. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll spend it hanging around downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. Very fun. From Twitch, thank you, Dark Jedi Good. Homework and relaxing is what I will be doing. Well, hopefully you can do them both at the same time. Then you'll be a superstar. Yeah, I hope everybody ends up having a nice weekend. Can avoid any super extreme heat. I'm in Seattle, but it's actually been pretty darn warm lately. It's been pretty warm. Has not rained here in a long time, despite our reputation. Let's see. Wilma Deering from Buck Rogers. Wow. That was probably an early childhood crush of mine. Yeah. That's really cool. Hold on. Just answering a quick text from a best friend. Hold on. Summer weather is always a challenge. I guess it depends where you live, but yeah. Sending cartoonist kayfabe a wizard they're looking for and some fan art this weekend. Nicely done. Nicely done. Boy, those guys definitely put a lot of work into their shows. Why did David Lapham stop releasing volumes of Stray Bullets, Sunshine, and Roses? The last 10 issues haven't been collected. That sounds like a question for David Lapham. I mean, he's pretty active on Twitter, so you could reach out. Bitty, 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 bitty. Want to dance, Twiggy? Bitty, bitty, bitty. Of course. Not much this weekend. Might see a movie. And I'll likely be working on some effects stuff for filming my next horror movie in 4 weeks. And in the fall, before I return to working on my comic book. Well, that sounds awesome. Good luck with all of that. I also had a crush on Wilma Deering when I was a kid. Well, you're doing pretty well for yourself now, Daniel. You might have a shot. You should reach out to her. Yeah, they've probably. I mean, I loved their early Wizard coverage, to be honest. I thought that was a great hook to talk about a wide variety of what was going on in comic books, like as a snapshot in time. But I think that they got like maybe burned out doing that regularly. But I also worry about them getting burnout just doing an episode every day. And so far, I guess they're doing fine. So maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Tomorrow working and Sunday going to the water park. Nice. That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. I don't remember Crichton. It's been too long since I watched Buck Rogers. It's been way too long. Yeah, they do an episode every day, but they don't do it quite like you say, like, when I do a comic tropes episode, I write an essay essentially. I record and then I edit it all together with images. The boys, cartoonist kayfabe, will like take out a comic book and just like record live, real time. I mean, and they'll just like flip it page by page and give any thoughts they have on it like this. So they don't have to do the editing or anything. They just have to come prepared with what kind of opinions they have on stuff. And I'm not like saying that as a negative. I hope that that's clear. It's just a very different work process. Crichton, do you like Kolchak the Night Stalker? Yeah, but I also haven't seen that in ages. Have not read it, but I did pick it up. We'll see if it's any good. We'll see. All right, go have pizza. Hello, Rick. Yeah, I liked Night Stalker, Kolchak. I also really liked what do you call it? I liked X-Files when it was on. Not all of it. It definitely went downhill after, I don't know, season maybe 6. Although every once in a while it would surprise you with like a really good episode. So I never quite gave up, Sometimes it would still have a good episode. But yeah, I liked X-Files a lot. That was cool. I wish that they'd have a show like that these days. Supernatural and sci-fi, but like an ongoing narrative. But if they do ever bring it back, like a reboot or anything, I hope it's a reboot instead of a continuation, because their mythology just got way too muddy and confused and everything. And I think it would be smarter to just start fresh and try to do something new with more of a story Bible of where it's headed. Because, yeah, unfortunately, X-Files did sort of go off the rails at a certain point. It's always disappointing when a show that you like just sort of you realize that it's not quite as good as it used to be. I'm old enough that I've gone through quite a few like that at this point. I was really unsatisfied with, say, how Lost went after a few seasons. You watch Svengoolie? Very cool. The first 2 Kolchak TV movies were great. Yeah, they were really cool. Oh yeah, you know what? I like Fringe a lot. Sometimes I forget, but you know what? I think Fringe's quality stayed there. They had like 5 seasons, and I think Fringe was pretty darn good, actually. I think Fringe was really good. I liked it. I should rewatch it someday. Now that I think of it, Fringe did the multiverse concept very well. Instead of having tons of infinite universes, they focused on like one parallel universe. And that was interesting. That was really interesting when they would explore that. I would recommend Fringe to people still. Speaking of Fringe, the main characters make a cameo in an issue of Chew. Did they? I don't remember that, but that's cool. Hello, Film Trek. Welcome to the show. Just a pretty chill one where I'm just doodling around. Wasn't the last season set in an Earth that was taken over by aliens? Not Fringe. No, not Fringe. Fringe did not have aliens. It was all man-made science. Nothing supernatural, nothing alien. It was all just man-made science, whether that was like, biology or quantum physics, things like that. It was cool. Yeah. It's too bad that Lance Reddick passed away at what I would consider pretty young. Pretty young. Too bad. You know what? I'm going to switch back to the brush pen real quick for this. And in a minute, I'm probably going to end this soon because got to get dinner for the family. See what we'll be doing there. But I appreciate all of you being here. It means a lot to me, and it makes it a lot more fun. Yeah, it was kind of a small role, all things considered, that he had in the John Wick movies, but he added some gravitas to it. He actually had a really good sense of humor, too. Yeah. He was good in the Key. Oh, yeah. I remember that sketch. Key and Peele's pretty darn funny. No kitties around, but the good news is that they're both very healthy and doing well. I had a few days this week that were quite scary. My boy Jack was not eating for several days. We still don't know exactly why. We took him to the vet 2 days in a row, and we administered fluids and gave him an anti-nausea medication, and then fortunately on like day 3, he just woke up with his appetite back and he's been eating. So thank goodness. It was definitely a little bit of a scare for me. Love my little man, but Jack is now doing just fine. But it was scary. It was a little scary. Don't worry, Chrissy. I'm probably going to wrap up shortly, and I can erase another time because I'm not going to finish everything that this go around. Fringe stuff, yeah. No, haven't seen it yet. Sorry, no, have not seen the new Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. I kind of wish sometimes they go back to a format of him not having the sonic screwdriver, but then again, I'm a guy that kind of grew up with the 5th Doctor running around without one, and I like that a lot. So, I've got my biases, don't I? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to wrap it up here, actually, folks. I had a lot of fun drawing, but I think it's time for family dinner, and I'm going to get back to working on comic tropes tonight. working this weekend, both my job and then as soon as I come home, keep working on comic tropes. And if I'm lucky, maybe I can get it out the middle of this coming week. I'm trying to do that. Like before the weekend would be nice. We shall see. Not 100% sure. But I'm going to do everything I can. It'll be a cool episode. And then I think after this one that I'm doing, I'd like to, if I have enough time, do one about Ninja Turtles before the Ninja Turtles movie comes out, or at least like that same weekend. But I don't know exactly which issue or era I want to talk about yet. But I love Ninja Turtles, so that's something I'm giving some serious consideration to. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of different directions that could go. But I had a lot of fun getting to just sort of sketch and talk with all of you. Thank you all for jumping in and watching. There will be a live show on this channel on Monday, and there's probably going to be an awful lot to talk about considering we will have had, like the 5-day San Diego Comic-Con. There's already a ton of comics announced, so I'll sort of be doing a recap of that, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. Thank you all. I'll see you soon. You know that I want you to keep reading comics, and so keep reading comics. Double salute. Boom, boom. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.